Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Lee Parker, and we are getting started on another event. How you all doing out there? Today, we're going to be talking about the power of problems. Now, I want to ask you a question. What are you building? What are you building? I want you to think for a minute. What are you willing to go through for this thing you call a business? This thing you call a dream? This thing you call your, that's something that you put all of your heart into that you want to see be successful. What are you really building? And that's a critical question. You have to know, how important is this to you? And there's times my back has been against the wall as an entrepreneur, and I had to answer that question. And how important is this to me? This is impacting my life. It's impacting my family. It's impacting my lifestyle. What am I going to do? And so I want you to think about something. When you think about what you are building, so there's a few things you could be building. So one thing is you could be building a hustle. What is a hustle? A hustle is something that I'm doing to, make a little money here and there. You're the type of person that goes here, goes there, sees a quick opportunity, jumps in, get a little money over here, try something new over there. You're really just trying to find new opportunities and new ways of doing things. Then there's the hobby group of people, right? These are people that, it's something that they're passionate about. They like what they're doing. And because of that, they're able to keep going to a certain point because it's something they enjoy, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with people out there hustling to make, money here and there. No, nothing wrong with hobbies that we're passionate about. But see, when you're really building a strong business, you are actually trying to build a home. And what do I mean by that? Something that you can live in, something that can actually take care of you, right? A home is a place you can live. A home is something that's consistent, right? And so you have to think about with your business. Are you building a hustle, a hobby, or a home? This is what I want you to think about as we talk here tonight, because you have to begin, when you say this won't break me and you're trying to push and fight, some people will say, well, this is just a hobby. I don't want to push further than this is just a hustle. I just want to make a little bit more. But see, when you really think about building a business, something sustainable, it's a different frame of mind. Now, I want you to consider this statement. The difference between a business and a hobby is how you deal with problems. Because if you have a hustle or a hobby and the problem gets to a certain level, you're not willing to do what's necessary to go further to solve that problem because that's not why you got into this, right? When the problem gets greater, someone has a lemonade stand. It's kind of like a hobby. And, you say, well, hey, you didn't make as many sales this week as you did last week. I say, well, it doesn't really matter. I'm selling lemonade and I love it. And I love when people tell me they like my lemonade, right? Nothing wrong with that. But there's a difference. That's a problem. But to that person, it doesn't really feel like a problem. So things that should be a problem to a hustle and a hobby type of mindset, sometimes it's not really seen as a problem. But when you're really trying to build a business, if you really want to build something that's going to take care of you and your family, you have to think differently about how you approach problems. Very, very critical to move forward. All right. I want to talk about something that's really important. We're talking about the power of problems, and I want you to understand you have to qualify to have a problem. I want to let that sink in a little bit. So a lot of us think we have a problem, but really we have chaos. And any of you that have heard me talk, you've heard me speak about this and how chaos is really when there's things that are not going the way you want it, but there's no standard to really qualify it as a problem. And I'm going to explain more about that later. You actually need standards so that you can even properly determine if something really is a problem. Now, I want you to think about this. Where in your business is there chaos? Areas that you're just doing what you can to keep things going. You're doing the best you can with what you have. You get it done every day. You get the task done, but you are dying for a better process, a better standard, a better way. This is true in my business too. You say, well, hey, Michael, you're the lean guru. What about you? You think you have the perfect business? No, absolutely not. I got areas where there's still some chaos and I have to fix it. And this is a part of knowing why you're in business and how far you want to go, because you got to remain passionate about dealing with the chaos. Now, some of you out there say, well, I get what you're saying. I get your point. But listen, I'm very organized. I don't have all my standards in place, but I'm pretty organized in my approach to things and so forth and so on. Well, this is what I want to say to you. You have organized chaos, right? So it's still chaos, but it's an organized chaos. You have a way of understanding how your chaos moves, but it's still chaos. So this is what I want you to understand. Now, think about it. Have you ever seen someone who you go to a room or area and everything is all over the place, right? And you go and you try to help with something. They say, don't touch that. I know that's exactly where I want it. You go over here, well, surely this can come off the floor. Don't touch that. I know exactly what this is doing. Now, to everybody else, nobody else can do anything in that room, but they are comfortable in that room, unfortunately. And so you can be in your business that way. A business has to be able to grow. A business has to be able to evolve. A business has to be able to move and adapt and allow other people in, that business can begin to harness the power of people to begin to grow and flourish. You cannot do that in a chaotic environment. And this is why this is so important. So we need a standard of excellence. A standard of excellence. So as you can see that on the screen, a standard of excellence is so crucial. We have to have a standard of excellence. We've got to know how things are supposed to be done. We need that in processes. We know how things what happens first, what goes where, how do things move. This is very important before you can even have a problem. You got to have this in place. Some people use visuals and other things like this. I recently did a lean seminar. We talked about the power of visual controls. Visuals are a standard. You also have checklists. Many of you out there, I know for sure, you need some more checklists that determine things that you do every day. You need to think about the systematic approach to doing that so that not only you can do it, but someone else can do it. And more importantly, when it's not done, you know that there's been a change from the standard. Now, that's a great segue into this visual. When you look at this visual, it seems very simple, but there's a deviation from the standard in this visual. All the pencils look the same. We see a deviation by color, and we see a deviation by height. And did you know in our businesses, because all of those pencils around it are the same, you can see the problem, right? This is what we want to do in every area of our business. This simple visual explains why we need standards so we can see when there's a deviation. Now, if all these pencils was all over the place, rainbow colors up and down, you wouldn't know if it was right, wrong, if it was art or what, right? But because of how this is, you know quickly that something is different. So a problem is a deviation from a standard. A problem is a deviation from a standard. So keep that in mind. This is very critical because many of you out there have not qualified to have a problem because you have not created enough standards. So you need standards that, standards begin when you start to write things down. Standards begin when you think about how the work is done. Standards begin when you start thinking about how could this work if I didn't do it and someone else had to do it. And these are things that you might be good at and used to doing, but even if you ever want to grow, you have to have a way of defining those standards. All right. Now, I want to talk about something else. We're digging deep here into problems. Now, I want to talk about the types of problems that you should be aware of. There are different types of problems that I want you to understand. Now, the types of problems are often things that we don't think deeply about. And it's important that we think deeper because if we don't think about the types of problems, then we won't know the proper types of solutions to use to solve those problems. So let's go deeper. Now, I call this problem 5, all right? Problem 5. Not problem number 5, problem 5. P5 for short, if you want to say. Now, why am I saying that? There are 5 key areas that I want you to understand are crucial for evaluating problems. Entrepreneurs, listen closely. Business owners, listen closely. Solopreneurs out there, on your own, listen closely. All right? There are 5 key areas, and we must understand them. One of them is people, right? People problems. Another one is process problems, okay? Another one is policy problems. Another one is performance problems. And another one is profit problems, okay? Now, I want to talk about these a little bit. You know, I got to get over here to I got me a whiteboard here with me. So I'm going to talk a little bit here on the whiteboard and talk about problem 5 a little bit. And so when we think about that, so we talked about people, okay? Now, when we're dealing with people, there's a lot of different elements of how problems can enter in. You want to be aware of this, okay? So we think about people, we have to evaluate attitude, right? Personalities get involved. The ability to create team, right? And all of this surrounding people, the main core thing that I have found in my experience that is most crucial when you're trying to solve people problems, a lot of times it comes down to this one thing: communication. Okay? So I want you to keep this in mind. If you're having people problems and you say, well, I'm a one-person show, well, you still can have people problems. You can have people problems in how you interact with vendors, how you interact with other partners, people not wanting to work with you, right? People that are not willing to do things for you that they would do for other entrepreneurs. And you don't even know about it because they're keeping you in a particular box. So communication is crucial for dealing with people-oriented problems. And don't isolate people to people in your business. It's dealing with people, right? In any way to support the business. Now, another one is we deal with process. Now, when we think about process problems, and a lot of times we're thinking that there's a way that things need to happen, right? There's things that we must do in an order, and there's things that we're doing to try to get something done. Now, when you consider that, the key things that always come up with dealing with process is things related to time and things related to sequence. How long does it take to do something? And what sequence do you do certain things in? So what do I do first? And is this the best sequence for the process? And you'll start to explore sometime there's a better way of doing this. And then you're looking at time. How long does it take and why? Time is an indicator of where problems are in a process, as well as looking at the sequence of things as well. Now, when we deal with policy, okay? See, policy, we're thinking a lot here about direction, vision, and culture. The reason is because policy problems are directly related to laws, right? Rules. And laws and rules are meant to help govern behavior and create a culture or drive people in a direction. So whatever policy you have about how a customer can return a product to you or not is creating a culture of your customer service. Whatever policy you have about what happens if a person is late to work in your business is creating a culture. The policies you have of how to respond to a complaint of a customer, or how much decision authority does someone have to make a customer happy. All of those things are related. The policies you have about distinct things that you want your business to always do, right? Certain things that you want to create as cultural rituals in your business that help to govern behavior. This is critical when we're trying to solve policy type of problems. When we're thinking about performance, this is why we need to know this, because all of these are different in terms of the approach you use. And when we're thinking about performance, here we think a lot about trends. right? So something might happen, right? There's all kinds of things that are happening, but I want to look at the trends, right? So whatever I'm measuring, I'm looking at, hey, I notice a trend here, right? That at certain times of year, this trends down, or certain times of year, this trends up. How is my business performing? Not just money, right? Performing in different aspects of the business. We have to consider overall, how are things moving when we think about performance? So performance problems, we're thinking a lot about trends. Very, very critical. Now, last but not least, there's the big P, profit, right? And we know that profit has to do with money. But when we're thinking about profit problems, a big thing that I want to bring to your attention that is so important is cash flow. So there's cash, right? There's making money, and we know that profit is revenue minus cost equals profit. But when you're thinking about profit problems, the biggest issue to profit, the biggest issue to making money is going to always come back to this word, cash flow. How much money is coming in and how much money is going out. And this is where a business is going to either turn into something that is really a home versus a hustle and a hobby. A hustle and a hobby might bring cash, but a business is built to create cash flow. So that now this is a system of generating cash continuously because you've put something in place that is continually causing cash to move through the business. So this is what we're talking about. Now, this is what we're talking about with the problem 5 is we want to keep these in mind. So make sure you keep this in mind when you're thinking about problems that you're dealing with. This is the problem 5 that we have to be aware of. Think about where in your business are you dealing with people and what type of problems need a better standard for how you're going to deal with those people. And sometimes the standard is training. Where is processes involved in your business? What types of problems are happening in that specific process? Do you know where those are? And where might you need a standard? Or if you have a standard, where is it not being met? Policies. Same thing. Where are you trying to go? What culture do you want? The same thing with performance. Are you measuring things? What gets measured gets done. So if you're not measuring things, don't expect the performance to get better. When you measure, you can see trends. And then profit, make sure you're thinking about the flow of cash, not just making cash. Very, very different. Now, something that I want to make sure you really get though, okay? So we talked about problems on a lot of different deep levels. But I want you to understand something, right, about the beauty of a problem. So this is an interesting statement, but problems open doors. Problems open doors. And strangely enough, if you really are an entrepreneur or a business owner, even a business professional leader, if you really are that, you should be so blessed to have a problem. You say, well, how do I say that? It's because problems do some beautiful things that I want you to understand. And I've learned this throughout my journey. Let's walk through this. So, problems create ingenuity. Problems make you think creatively, think outside the box, okay? Problems reveal reality. Sometimes you say, well, there's a problem. I don't have enough money to buy this. Well, you just found out the truth about your business. There are times that I had to realize that I still have my goal in mind, but I had to adjust to the reality of my situation to keep going in business. And the quicker you understand reality is the quicker you can get to a real solution that really will take the business to the next step versus going in a circle dreaming. Problems help you see reality. Problems challenge what you've built. So you might think you have a strong product. You might think you have a strong team. You might think you have a good strategy. You might think you have something that will last. But problems come along. And they challenge, they little hammer comes and knocks on that building a little bit and see, is this product as strong as it should be? Is it going to stand the test, right? This is what problems begin to expose. And either you have to adjust and reinvent and adapt, or you don't recognize that that problem is coming to challenge what you've built to determine, do you need to build it better, right? Do you just need to make a little quick patchwork, or is there a whole adjustment you need to make? This is what you begin to find out. Problems are the voice of new products. Let me let that sink in for a minute. This is crucial. Make sure you get what I just said. Problems are the voice of new products. New products for you. New products that you can make money on. I'll talk more about that in just a second. So every product creates a new problem. And that's awesome. I'm going to explain why here in just a minute. So in essence, complaints establish the path to excellence for your business. Every complaint that is made is really creating the pathway. It's directly telling you what you need to do to go to the next level in your business. So I want you to understand that. Directly related. All right. So I say I have a couple questions coming in. I'm going to pause for that in just a second, but I want to keep this line of thought for you. Let's come back over here to the whiteboard for a minute. And I want you to notice something here. So this is you, right? And you have your idea. It's kind of like my little light bulb here. And you put that idea into some sort of product. I don't care if that product is a service, if it's online, if it's brick and mortar, if, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. This represents that. When this product then gets into the hand of the customer, right? This is when the customer begins to determine what they like and what they dislike. So, when Steve Jobs released the iPhone, he noticed right away that one of the challenges was how do you listen to it if you say you can have 1,000 songs in your pocket and all of this wrapped into one device, but now, I used to have my headsets for my Walkman, so what? You start packaging something where when you get this deal, you get the phone and these nice headsets, and he created custom headsets for the iPhone. Because why? When he gave that new product, it created things that people disliked or a new problem. And because he listened to that, this problem helped create a new product. And this is how we need to start looking at things. Whatever you do, whatever your service is, you give a service to a client, you give a product to someone, whatever it is, think deeper about the things that the customer doesn't like about your product. Don't cover it up. Don't hide it. Think about it, because that's your next product. That's your next service. That's what you need to add. That's what you need to do next. That's the new opportunity. So when you create that product and say, I like this, but it's just when I get home, I don't know what to do. Here's an instructional manual. Here's a kit that you can use to buy when you go home. It tells you exactly what to do. Here, when I do this, I just don't know. I don't quite understand. I see how you do it, but when I get home, I don't know how to do it like you. Here's a new video. I'm going to create a little place for you to go and watch how I do it. So every time you do it, here's an instruction from me, and you create more value with it. So this is, again, what you start learning how to do. So you have to understand that problems and see these dislikes and complaints. This is also communicating to you what excellence looks like, right? They're telling you, the customer is telling you by the problems that they have, the complaints that they have, is what excellence looks like in their eyes. And this is the only eye that matters, is the eye of the customer. So I want you to keep this in mind and how critical this is. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is, and this is a whole nother area, but I want you to understand that it's critical to solve problems. To solve problems. Now, the last thing I want to talk about this with regard to solving problems I'll come back here to my whiteboard here a little bit. We talk about solving problems, okay? So a few things that I want you to know. A few secrets. We're not going to go deep tonight, but just giving you some key things. Some of you may have heard about 5 why. This is one good way of understanding how to solve problems in your business. So we start with a clear problem, right? I'm not going to give you the full training here today, but there's a way to have a problem defined properly, having a problem statement. And then you learn how to ask why, right? And you ask the question the right way. So if there was water in here and people kept falling, the problem would be the standard is people should be able to walk. The problem, the deviation is people are falling. So that's my problem statement. The why is, why did you fall? Because there's water on the ground, right? So that would be my first why, water on the ground. Then I would ask why again. And I would find out, that there's something that's been dripping from the ceiling. Right? And I would just continue this process. And what is this doing? When we think about this, asking why, we ask the right question in the right way to a specific problem statement. And it allows us, if we're thinking as, like a plant here that is growing and it's going down into the soil and it begins to take root. This is how problems are as well. And this is what we call root cause analysis. We want to always get to the root of the situation. That's why we're asking why. So make sure in your business you're not getting stuck, not asking why. Why am I having a problem with this? Why does this keep taking place? But before you can qualify, this is why problems are so valuable. You can't get to root cause until you know your problem statement. So we have to know our problem to even go down the journey of root cause. Now, another thing that I want to share with you, when you think about problems, so, here you are, and here is the guru. I'm going to give the guru some glasses here. I don't know if you can see that there. And here you are in business trying to make it and you're not all the way happy yet. This guru has this person with experience has all this filled up of experience. And this is where you are. So the key is you can go through your own journey, bumping your head, doing all kind of stuff. Or you find a way to tap into people who have been there, right? And this is what we call leverage. So one of the biggest mistakes I see entrepreneurs make is, as entrepreneurs by nature, we're leaders, we're inventors, we make things, we do things, we're about things, right? And because of that, we don't want to depend on nobody else. We don't want to ask for help sometimes. This is a big mistake. I had to learn this. When you know people know something, and they say, well, I don't mean everyone is trying to sell you something. If someone said, here's a book that tells you exactly how to do it. I've been doing it for 20 years. Buy the book. Someone's doing a training and they know what they're talking about. Buy the training. Spend the money. Invest. I had to learn quickly. You can gain so much leverage, right? Because this person that put something into a book, right? And it took him 30 years to understand this. I get it now. I get my time, right? To use that knowledge to take my business forward. So you have to think about, find people who already have success in what you're doing and invest, right? Don't have that mentality, where you think in poverty or poor thinking. Think, poor people say, I can't afford it. A rich mind says, how can I afford it? They still can't afford it yet, but it's a different mindset. Find a way. right? Sometimes you people exchange things with other entrepreneurs. I'll do this for you. You help me with this. I'll help you with that. That's how you have to think. So we want to do that. And I'll leave you with this story. Someone saw him on the street and they said, oh my God, it's Picasso, right? The great artist. And he said, hey, please, will you draw me something? Will you draw me something? And so Picasso said, I'm busy. He said, no, please. So he got a pen and he drew a picture in 30 seconds. Person said, oh, thank you so much. Picasso said, that'll be $1 million. He said, excuse me, $1 million? Picasso said, it took me 30 years to do that in 30 seconds. A powerful statement that I want you to get out of that. And so when you find people that have experience, value it because it'll save you time. It'll save you heartache. It'll save you money. It's the best thing you could ever do.